Here we go. Awesome. Okay, guys, welcome. So obviously another wonderful week of training at the club, and I'm going to kind of show you guys what I've done. But this one's going to be hard to kind of do. Like I can only maybe explain it to you and bring it into your training. Okay. So we're going to work with the fingers. Okay, and this is really interesting work. So there are sometimes a fist goes very well in a situation. There's other time working with your fingers, and that doesn't mean just to hurt people, but knowing how to work with your fingers so that you can use it as a martial art application. I'm going to show you how I've done it in my life, I guess, and in my training. Now, finger work before Systema meant I've broken my fingers and I need to rehab them. So this is the truth. Lots of sports people have broken their hands. Boxing, broken my knuckles, fingers in rugby and other sports that I've ever played. And you realize having to take care of your hands is very similar to taking care of your feet. So please remember this, okay? Like you want to take care of these. Our feet as well as our hands are kind of the way we know the world, right? Like think of your feet, it's the way you touch the world, and your hands is the way you feel the world. Now, very, very specific, it's with the tips of your fingers, okay? So I'm talking right now with the tips of your fingers, okay? So when you think of kids, how they pick things up, that's through the very tip of their finger, okay? So we'll show you some stuff that I want you to try to do and see if you can cultivate it, right? So put your fingertips together, just like that. And just sit still, like very light touch, so that you're not pushing hard. There's a very, very light touch on the fingertips. And just connect them together so that they kind of feel like it's one. So they're not two hands that are touching, but that you get to a point where they make one. And then you start to find your heartbeat or your pulse or something in your body, and then you try to see if you can feel that pulse in your fingertips. So first you connect with your heartbeat if you can find it. If not, just practice some deep breathing and you'll find it. And then try to see if you can feel your pulse through the tip of your fingers. Try to get rid of any tension in your hands so that the hands are, the way you touch them, they're comfortable. They're not like in an awkward position, but you feel like you can hold them comfortably. So the angle of the wrist, the angle of the fingers, that there's nothing strained, but they're simply just touching each other lightly. And then you focus on your breathing. And it's like, if you could imagine holding your own heart, like something like that, like you feel what's here, but right in the tips of your hands. Good, guys. That's going to be some work for you to do. Now you can do this like how I'm doing it now, where my hands are here or they're here or they're here. Like no one will even know what you're doing. You can just be calmly like this. And what you're trying to do is see if you can feel your pulse at the tip of your fingers. Okay. Don't push hard. It's very, very light. It's just a light touch of the skin. Okay. So in class, I had students do this as well with each other. So they touched fingers with their partner like that, and they tried to see if you could feel another person's pulse through the fingers. Okay. This represents that can you connect with yourself, and then can you connect with another person just from the tips of the fingers as a touch. Okay. This is kind of critical because most people disconnected from their partners. They only connected maybe through an action. So you're touching. And then I had students try it on a person's body. So they touch the chest or they touch the back. And again, with the fingers, they touch just like that. And they were moving their partner. Okay. So you actually start to move your partner. And so they're not moving, you're moving them. So with the slightest, the person being touched, should be able to detect even the slightest movement of the fingertips on the body should affect you. Now, I prefaced the class because I posted it on the Signal chat, some work that Michael was doing with the fingers. I don't know if you saw that, if some of you saw that, but it was, most people don't understand the work that Michael does is he works from any touch. If you touched him here, he's working right from there. If he touched you like this, he's working right from there. And he wants to see the level of sensitivity you have. So how much can you taste? Much like a wine connoisseur or a foodie, when they put food in their mouth, it's not about the food. They're trying to taste exactly what was in the food, what spice was made, what is in here. They're trying to understand. When you touch somebody, you should feel exactly who the person is, and also yourself. So we spent a lot of time with this, like this, on the body, moving the person, and from first touch, trying to connect with the person. Now, tomorrow when somebody grabs you, that's going to be the first touch. They're going to somehow maybe grab you here around the neck. And you should have the sensitivity from this point to understand the pressure so you can work from it. Does it make sense, guys? It makes sense, right? So the fingertips are the place that we learned right away as kids. We put things in our mouth. Like we just grab the world through our fingertips. So it's a great place to start, okay? And we put it. So then I had students after that, again, take some time, start to massage people with their fingers, okay? So they literally, you put your partner down and you start to massage them with your finger, not this part, your fingers, and you're literally pushing, okay? So here's something you can try for yourself, okay? Lift your hands up like that and start to move them independent of each other. So with no tension, yeah. So the fingers should feel like there's no bone in them. Like you feels like tentacles of yeah, like an octopus or something, or a squid. There's nothing there. So they're doing their own thing, but then they can also do the same thing. And it should be light, and you shouldn't feel any activity in the bones, right? So they can kind of do all kinds of things, right? So you're moving your fingers independent, and not just up and down, but open too, right? So they can open, they can close, and they can move all around. So you think about piano, or you think about what people can do with a guitar. It's like you think about how much they can manipulate their fingers. So you want to check that. You want to be able to manipulate your fingers as you like, one at a time. Okay. So again, we're really staying away from this part. This part is a whole other subject this year. Now we're just working with the fingers, and now even specifically the fingertips, okay? So again, a lot of pushing, a lot of massaging, like with the tips, like that on the body, all over the body, okay? And in the video with Michael, I think Karen saw it, it's like that. He did one thing, like it was so interesting. He touched the person like here, and he walked up the arm. And I'm laughing because I've been part of something like this. It's amazing when somebody touches you that's very connected with you. It's a wonderful feeling. It's like meeting a man or a person, for that matter, that is connected to the land, like a farmer, like really connected to the land. Like he lives off of it, he eats off of it. It's like you're in awe of a person like this because they're so connected to everything they do, where they get their food, how the food is grown up. They see everything. So from the touch, okay? Now, this is not going to be easy. You're understanding it on a physical level, but you need to cultivate this. So let me share with you how I do it, okay? Because I do it, my training never stops. I train while I watch TV. I train when I'm on, I train because I love it, right? I don't know if any of you ever seen these things, okay? Okay, these are wood. They're kind of wood, but I also have marble. This is like, they're made of wood. These ones are made of marble, and I have other ones that are made of steel. And I keep them beside my my captain's chair for my life, right? And what you do is, I'll see if I can show you this. What I do, they sell these. These are like, I don't know, Chinese balls or something. I don't know what they call them. And you roll them in your hand. And the only way you can roll these things is if your fingers are really relaxed. See how I'm doing it? And now these ones have a little bit of weight, Um, the wood ones that I have no weight at all. They're very, very light. And I just roll them in my hand back and forth. And if you notice my fingers, you see how my fingers are moving so smoothly, right? Except for that smooth. I dropped it. So what this does is, you can imagine I'm just watching TV, or I'm just having a conversation with a friend on the phone, and I'm rolling these things in my hands, and my hands are really learning how to be very, very, very soft. I'm not grabbing it. I'm just studying how to work with my hands really, really, really soft. Okay. Um, I found these things back when I was 16 years old. I took martial arts. 6 months after I started martial arts, I beat up a guy, and in the process of beating up a guy, I broke my hand. Which is, I broke my knuckles. So I was in a cast for 6 weeks, and then I had to rehab my hand. And the doctor at the time had suggested this, and it was a wonderful way. It rehabbed my hand so good, and it healed up really nice. So you can get these on Amazon. They're really inexpensive. They're just Chinese balls. They come in different weights and different sizes. You can buy them in packs. They're really not expensive, and they're a wonderful tool for your hand. The other thing you can do is any kind of a stick. It can be a knife. This is one that I have that was gifted to me. It's a ceremonial kobotan. So it's basically considered, I mean, it's hard to see it. It's made of an antler, was given to me as a present, and it is a weapon without a doubt. Okay, you can see it. It's pointy on one end, and it is very sharp. This can definitely, and what I do with it is I don't use it like that, but I move it in my fingers. So that could be done with a spoon. You can do this with almost anything, but I'm always playing with my fingers like this because I want to be able to operate them from individual ways, right? So I'm always working with my thumb, with my finger. So I'm literally passing from one. Could you do it with a pen? Of course you could do it with a pen. You do it with anything. Okay, but you're playing with this not as a fidget spinner, not as one of those things. Don't be one of those guys. But you're using it because you want to develop dexterity in your fingers, and that's very important with any weapon. It doesn't matter if it's a pistol. It doesn't matter if it's a knife. You need to be able to control tension levels in your hands. Okay. So tomorrow, though, when you're working with somebody, like we did this in class, when somebody grabs you, right? You want your hands and your fingers to be very soft. You don't want them to grab. You don't want them to be desperate. You want them to be very, very, very light. Okay. Ask me questions, guys. Is that okay? Does that make sense? Or is that it's good info? Okay, good, good. I just want to make sure you understand that. So now tomorrow when I'm driving my car, as I'm driving, I can squeeze. So now I start to squeeze my fingers. So I start to be able to fire this finger with tension, but not these. So I start to kind of like, so I make this finger tense, but I try to keep all the rest relaxed, right? And if you really want to just pick up a guitar and try to learn how to play, you'll see yourself, like it's very difficult. Now, I have a solution for you if that's going to be difficult. Got this on Amazon for for $10, okay? And I don't know if you can see it. It's like it's so you can make a fist like it's thing, or each individual can be pressed. Okay, and what this does is the main goal is not just to get strong fingers. That's not my goal. My hands are strong enough. I'm just trying to understand how to make that strong, but the rest relax. So if I need to work with a finger, I can work with it. Each one. Each one I can fire on my command as it works, okay? So, and then I don't stop there. You can even do it this way, like even sideways, right? You study how to, because the fingers can be strong this way, they can be strong this way, and they can be strong this way, okay? Make sense? Okay. Yeah, no. You can do that too. Now, I will tell you a profound piece of knowledge I came back, because I'm in my 50s now. So I try to pay attention to I really pay attention to the different journey I've gone through and how people measure health. So there's some really incredible, because an aging population, so you've got a lot of people nowadays that are defying age. Like you've got um, some athletes that are well into their 40s that are performing at a very high level, and the stuff that kids half their age are doing, right? So they're dying it. One of the best measures of a man, could be a woman too, I don't know, but I can tell you for a man is what I heard, is grip strength. So the strength that you have, not just in your grip. Okay, so they actually call it a grip test. So they'll give you something to grip, like a weight or some sort of kettlebell, and how long you can hold that weight will dictate health and longevity for a person. It's very tightly associated. So there's about 10 measures, and I'll post them on another day. But having a strong grip, even as you get older, is a real determiner of your overall strength. So please work on your grip. Okay, it doesn't have to be like tension, but work on your finger strength. This is a big indicator. When I work with my fingers, what's interesting is my punch develops. I get a really nice fist. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel angry. It just feels full, which is really important, right? So because I know how to work with each finger, and because each finger feels strong and each finger feels flexible, when I make a fist, that's what it takes the shape of, strong and flexible. So I'm really talking to my fist. If you have a question, guys, just interrupt. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going, okay? So I come up with these things, and I don't take them as I don't take them as like I have to do. It's like I try to understand my whole self through my fingers. So if somebody was watching my fingers, they should be able to see my level of freedom. So my level of freedom in the fingers is very, very important, because I know the world through this touch. It doesn't matter if it's martial arts, or if it's the car, or if it's my friends, whatever it is, I know the world through this. So I really want to make sure that I understand these things very, very well. Okay, now, and once you got a good understanding of these, you can apply it to all the rest of your body. Like it can go for everything. So play with your fingers more. Okay, play with them relaxed, play with them in strength, like with some tension. Okay, and you can do it without, or you can do it with stuff, right? There's tons of gadgets that they have for fingers, and they're mostly on the rehab. So it's like if you've hurt your hand, but that doesn't mean you can't use it to understand your fingers, right? So I'm using it to kind of understand how to find tension, but also uh, uh, some relaxation in other fingers. Now it's interesting, when I tense up this finger can stay really relaxed, and so can my thumb, but this finger, it won't. I could see it. It's not so. So I would be grabbing it and trying to make it relax. This one is not too bad, but for some reason the finger beside it couldn't relax as much as I would have thought. So it would be something that I would work on. Okay, and if you do this kind of work, guys, anytime you pick up a weapon, you will never pick it up the same way, ever. I'm telling you. Look at me now. I've worked with my fingers, and I realize I don't need to tense these fingers up at all. I don't even need to tense up my thumb. I can hold my weapon just enough with a couple of fingers. If nobody's trying to take it from me, there's no need, right? Think of a person that drives a car. They start with all their hands on the wheel, and then by the end of it, there's not even a hand. It's like on the wrist is on the steering wheel. There, and you can completely control the car. Is it magic? No, it's just they're comfortable now with how much pressure is actually needed to steer a car. There's not a lot of pressure needed to hold on to a weapon, any weapon. To be honest with you, with my pistols and with my, you do not hold on to them, right? And a lot of the people in archery are amazed to understand that you don't hold a bow. It just sits in my hand like this. I only hold it with these two fingers. The whole bow is held in with just these two fingers. It's amazing. Same with my pistol. I don't really hold on to my pistol. It's really light. It's much lighter than people think, right? It's much lighter than people think. So we massaged, right? We massaged each other everywhere. Neck, face, body, stomach, legs, arms. And then I had students do this. So it's like a tapping. And what it does is it feels like heavy rain. So try it on your arm, okay? Try it on your arm. And it's like I relax my fingers. It's like I'm relaxing my fingers on the body, just touching, like all over. And it should feel like heavy rain. It's like if you've ever been in the rain with big raindrops. Tuk, 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 tuk. And what was interesting about this, it's not the impact, it's the vibration. It relaxes you. It's like, what's relaxing about rain? It's the way it hits you, right? When you're in a shower, if you have the rain shower kind of thing, it's like the drops relax you. It's like little mini hits. So I showed people how to I call it the piano body massage, just with the tips of your fingers, right? And it all over the body, it relaxes the person. Okay. Now, what's really interesting is how much that does relax you, as much as the massage with the fingers does. So you can massage the person with tension, like poking into the body, and you can massage them like this. Okay. Makes sense, guys? Makes sense? Okay. Now, then I had students work with each other, which was going to be hard for you guys, but what I asked them to do was start to poke into the body. And you can use, their goal was to find out whether one finger, a thumb, two fingers, four fingers, whatever fit into the body. Like 4 fingers fits really nice into the side of the neck, but 2 fingers fits better into the base of the neck, and 1 thumb fits better under the chin or behind the ear, right? Or into the eye. 2 fingers in the nose always works pretty good for me. It's more of a comedy. 1 finger in the ear also usually works pretty good. On the back of the neck, 3 fingers or 2 fingers works really nice into those muscles. Under the armpit, 4 fingers works really good. Under the ribs, 4 fingers works really, really good. Towards the solar plexus, 2 fingers or the thumb works good. So they literally went through the whole body and just said, if I had to poke onto this part of the body, how would it work? Okay. Now, let's step back from a sec, because people might say to yourself, well, this seems kind of funny. But I want you to go back to the time when, medieval times, when people had armor. Okay, so there was a chest plate, they had all the armor on. The way you had to get by that armor is not with a big sword, it's with a little, you need to be precise to get in between the armor. So sometimes people have, big chest, big arm, big biceps, but you don't go there. The pokes go into the soft spots, go into the spots of weakness, right? People can be full of muscles, but those muscles have weakness. You can be full of armor, but it's not a solid piece of steel. You have to bend. So the weaknesses are in the bending points, right? So around the neck, around here, like they're the weak points, right? So poking and with thumb, with your finger, you have to feel which fingers and how many fingers work good for certain areas. And you have to see the application. When muscles are strong and they're protecting, like my chest is protecting this area, maybe I don't poke here, or maybe I actually find that, flex your chest, guys, if you can, flex your chest. And if you put your finger in the middle of that muscle, it hurts. If I flex my bicep and I put my thumb in the middle of it, it hurts. So you need to know how to push into a muscle that's flexing, and you need to know how to go around the muscle and find, like, so if I'm flexing my chest here, if I find the seam between my chest and and I find it, it hurts. Or if I flex my neck, if I push right into the middle of the muscle, it hurts. Or if I go around it into the insertion point, it hurts too. So you've got to play with pokes, because a punch might not work in that situation. It's like a big sword will not work against that armor. You have to go in between the creases and find out where it is. So what I then had students do is try find the poke that worked to take somebody down with a grab. Okay. So remember, when somebody grabs you, the act of grabbing means I have to open myself. So in order for me to grab you, I either have to open one arm, so I got to expose myself, or 2 arms and I have to expose myself. Okay. So there's no way somebody can grab you without exposing themselves. It's not possible. There's gonna be an opening somewhere, and it's your level of understanding the body and its pressure points on the body and ways that your hand can fit in like a key. So think of a key into a door. The wrong key won't even make it into the lock. So you really need to figure out what variations of fingers, thumb, sometimes even like that, like this knuckle here. Sometimes that works pretty good too. And it's creating an uncomfortable position for the person to tense up. Makes sense, guys? I hope it makes sense. So this is I would call it professional work, because punching people, especially when there's cameras on you or when people are watching, it's not going to go good for you. But pokes, that's a lot more professional. That is a lot more professional. Okay. So I hope you guys understand, when you go to, it's just the way it's seen in the legal system. Okay. Making a fist and hitting somebody is not seen as very professional. It's just not. It really won't. It seems much more personal. When you poke somebody or use this, it's a lot more skill involved. So it's easier for somebody to understand that you were working from a place of skill. And it's also easier to say I'm sorry to somebody. When you punch them, it's very hard to say sorry after. But when you poke them, they don't see it as personal. I don't know why. They just don't. Make sense? So it's really high level work. It's super high level work. And what I love about it is you can practice with your kids. You can practice on friends. It works wonderful because they just temporarily upset at you. Yes, yeah, it's just exactly, just temporarily upset. Like I'll sneak up behind my friends that are doing something and I'll grab their neck or I'll grab the back of their arm and I'll just watch if I got the nerve or if I got the reaction I wanted, right? Usually they don't like playing this game with me. They're very they're very aware, right? Um, the same goes in training. It's really good way of working with people, and it also is a wonderful exploration because there's nerves everywhere, all over the body, like on the feet. There are times guys been wrestling with me, and he's got me in like the scissors, and then I start working a pressure point or on the calf, and they open up faster than anything I could have ever done. So calves, forearms, thighs, inner thigh, hip, like find them. They're everywhere, and it's a wonderful exploration. Just remember, it doesn't work for everybody. Some people, especially if they're on certain drugs or have a high pain tolerance, it might not work for everybody. It's just an idea. It's just an idea. We have to remember that. I mean, there are some guys, you see video of some security officers just hitting a guy with a stick and still he can go. Like, it doesn't work for everybody. It just works for some people. There's certain caveats are the more muscle you have, the more pain you feel. Okay. Now, if you don't believe me, I can show you the exact moment. So you got to watch Kung Fu Panda again. Okay. And you got to understand. So there's Kung Fu Panda providing us with our martial art inspiration. So in Kung Fu Panda, Tai Lung, which was the evil leopard, he was able to do his nerve attack on all the Furious Five, but the panda was too fat. He didn't have a lot of muscle, and he had a lot of. And when Tai Lung tried his nerve attack, it tickled him. Like in the movie, he's like, "Stop!" And he goes, and the Tai Lung couldn't understand because everybody that studied martial art did a lot of physical training, so their muscles were quite strong, which means the nerves were quite active because nerves fire muscles, right? So if you carry a lot of muscle, and I'm talking a lot, like like a bodybuilder, it is super painful for you. They hate this work. They absolutely hate it. So anytime you come across a really, really strong guy, this work is beautiful. And they will run away from you. They want any part of you, right? They want to flex their muscles, but as soon as you touch that nerve, it hurts them. So they don't like doing it. They just don't like doing it. Okay. So watch Kung Fu Panda. It's right at the very end where he's doing his nerve attack, and the panda's laughing because it tickles me, and he can't figure it out. And that's really what it is. He's fatter than he has more muscle, so he couldn't feel the nerve attack. Oh, I love finding these for you guys. Okay, so then, so I did it with grabs, standing up, and I asked again because there's exploration. You need to find this stuff, and then the real fun was when I asked people to go on the ground and start to wrestle and try find these pressure points when they're wrestling. That was fun. And yeah, there's Karen with her hands up. It was a lot of fun because this works. This really levels the playing field because when you're wrestling, it's hard to punch. Not hard to punch. It's different because you're holding on and you have to let go to hit, and because you're not grounded as much as you like, it's hard to deliver a strike as hard as you normally can, right? That's the problem with punching on the ground. Now if you practice you can develop it, but it's not easy. It's much easier when you're wrestling to poke somebody because you don't have to, you know what I mean, you don't have to cock back, you don't have to you just have to find the right spot, right? That makes sense, guys? You see that? So tomorrow when you're wrestling, just look for the muscles that are tense and start to push into them. Thumb, fingers, this, and see what happens. Just see what happens and watch the person's reaction, right? Where there was no space, he might open up or she might open up by a little bit, right? So you want to do different things with people like that. So they had a blast. It really was a blast. People were moving. People were laughing because it's quite funny. It almost not tickles, but it tickle hurts. It's really good application for it. So and we never even touched on it with a knife. We never touched on it with any weapons. We just literally worked on it with our fingers, and I think people really saw some application to it. Really interesting application. Talking a lot, guys. Any questions for me? Like, could you see it? Like, could you see how you're going to get it into your training? Yeah, it's really hard to show you guys all the little details, but I'll try here for a second. So on a wall, so when you're on a wall, what you can, just maybe so the other thing I had students do is they put their fingertips on a wall and ask them just to do wall push-ups. Now they're not hard because you don't have to lean, but you start to do wall push-ups with 4 fingers and the thumb on all different parts of the wall, and then 3 fingers and then 2 fingers and then 1, and you start to understand how is your finger strong enough to push in with just some body weight. So if you have a finger is not very strong and it does that, you realize that in order for you to use your finger as a poke, it needs to stay fairly straight or even a little bit bent. So if this finger is not strong enough for whatever reason, you put another one on top of it. And now let's try it. Just look, poke, push hard into your own hand. And you see mine's bending now, right? So there's only so hard I can push before I feel a strain on the joint above it. But if I put my other finger on top, just like that, look how much stronger it is. It's so much stronger, okay? So, and then it's the same with your thumb. So push with your thumb, right? And you can start to feel the thumb starts to bend over here. But if I put the fist against the thumb, now look how strong it is. So you study like how to position your fingers so that you can make them strong, right? So how they can, this is very strong, by the way. Try this if you want, guys. Right? So put your thumb, it's like this, like the thumbs up, but put your thumb beside it. That little edge right there that's about as strong as you're going to get. You could probably punch with that. Okay, that little edge right here. Okay. Have I ever shown you guys how to make the strongest fist ever? No. Watch me, guys. Okay, so just watch my hand. You see my fingers? Okay, so I want you tomorrow to do this on a punching bag. Okay, so make a fist, punch the punching bag. Okay, and then I want you to do this kind of a punch. So I bend my hand, and then I put my fingers like that. I don't curl them in. So look at it. You see my fist? So instead of curling my hands under, I put it alongside the palm, and then I put my thumb beside it. Okay, I want you to punch like that. That's the hardest punch that you can give, is just like that. Okay, just like this. Believe me, I've shown this to people non-martial artists and martial artists. They hit a bag with a closed fist, and then they hit a bag like this. And all of them say this is the most powerful punch you can ever develop. But they'll never show you this. And do you know why? Because it's easy for people to remember this, because when they're scared, they want to hold on to something. It's much like hockey fight. You want to hold on to something and punch. But this is a whole other punch. Right, look at it again. Parallel. See? Straight, straight, flat. There it is. Bang. Very strong punch. Okay. So fingers, knowing how to work with the fingers is going to be critical for you guys. So before we go, because I want you guys to see this, please don't underestimate this. This is really, it's really interesting. If you can feel your pulse like this, then you feel it, then you try it like this. And you want to make sure that you feel your pulse now in the palm of your hand. And then like that. And you want to make sure that you can feel your pulse and your heartbeat now in your arms if you touch. Fingertips, palms, arms, and you want to feel that. You could add another one, which is like hugging yourself like this. And you're going to feel your breath because you're holding your lungs, but you're listening for the pulse. What will develop is going to be when tomorrow somebody grabs you, whether it's a bear hug or whether it's your arm, you're going to have much more sensitivity on the skin. You're going to have much more connection to the person than ever before, right? Because you want to be connected, guys. You want to be connected to the things that are touching you. And then you can be connected to deeper things. Does that make sense, guys? Or is it too heebie-jeebie for you, right? And then later on, you can be connected through space, right? I can't tell you how many times I have taught a class at Fight Club only to go to either Vlad or watch one of Michael's videos, and they taught the exact same thing, and we never talked. It freaks me out actually how much that happens. It's pretty bang on. I don't know how it's done. I have no clue. Like it's really is a deeper connection to people. Like, I don't know if that happens to you guys, but sometimes in the middle of your day, do you find my voice hitting you? Like something about like in the middle, is that heebie-jeebie, or is that something that's in your mind that you're connected to somebody to deeper purposes, right? You want to be connected to your partners, not tactically, just because you're aware of the situation, right? You're connected. And I always come back to the farmers, but it's amazing to me to live in a city where people pass by each other very close range and completely are oblivious to each other. But yet you go on a farm and the farmer has 100 acres that way, 100 acres that way, 100 acres that way. And his neighbor comes out the front door. He can't even see him. He just sees somebody's out the door and he's already waving good morning to him. He's completely aware of the neighbor that is 100 yards away that just came out of his house. Meanwhile, in a city, we pass each other and we're oblivious. We don't even know who's there. It's amazing to me. Awareness knows no space. It knows no distance. It just depends how connected you are to the land or how connected you are to the environment. You know, you need to see that clearly. Make sense? Yeah. And this won't be glorious because you'll see that sometimes, especially people that are fidgety, that can't stay still, they'll never be able to understand this. You need to have stillness inside you to understand awareness. Awareness is no motion at all. It's no motion. You ever watched an owl? Watch an owl, aware of absolutely everything that's going on in the forest. It doesn't move at all. Right? He never flops around for no reason. Right? interesting thing when you're awareness, right? And find it in your fingertips, find it in your pulse. These are the things that are, so breathing awareness, heartbeat, fingertips, skin, like everything, anything that touches your skin, you should be super aware of what it is. Okay. Any questions, guys, before we go? I felt like I've talked a lot, and it's a matter of you guys just training with it. I don't know. Ask me if you have any. If not, it's okay. All right. Well, I'll let you guys practice with it, and we'll call it. I mean, that's pretty much what I did most of the week with the guys. I posted some videos on Instagram as well as on the Signal chat of some of the kids' class. I taught the kids' class with it, and it was so funny. The kids loved it because they knew they were going to practice it on their friends in school. I know they were going to do this, right? But the adults were more serious about it, which is nothing wrong with it. But it's amazing how something so funny, kids already know who they're going to target for this, whereas the adults, they already know who the friends or who the bully is that they're going to practice this on. You guys got to find that too, because they understood it as well as the adults. They got it both. I think Karen saw it with the kids class. You saw it with the kids class, right, Karen? You saw that with the kids, but you weren't there for the adult class that I taught with that. But you got the sense of it. You saw how the kids were playing with it, right? They could totally see it, because I think they can get away with it in school. They probably can't get away in school with punching somebody. That's not going to go well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Great class. Great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm just trying to share what I'm doing with the guys at the club and give you some more insight about the fingers. Okay. We'll see what I do next week. Okay. Practice, guys. Fingers.
Thank you, Manny.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Nice weekend.
Bye. Bye, everybody.